Welcome to my quilting life. Okay, so 25 patch blocks, we're going to do two. I do want to clarify real quickly, put it out there. I am using 2.5-inch squares for all of this. I cut my own pre-cuts that are 2.5 inches. And then I store them in bins and I go from that. I've been getting a lot of questions on what size blocks that I'm using. Because I don't know, some videos I probably clarify it and some I don't. Because, well, I don't think of it when I'm recording. So I just want you to know that I'm using 2.5 inches, but that's not to say that you have to. You can do 1.5 inch, 2-inch, 3-inch, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5. You can start with whatever size block you want to start with for these 25 patch blocks, all the way up to 10 inches. You can even go bigger than that if you really wanted to. But I would say that a 10-inch block, if you were to use 10-inch blocks and say cut 12 of one, 13 of another, blah, 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 how, they're made of color in the color sections that they're in. One 25 patch block done in 10-inch squares is a baby size quilt. So you can get a small little baby size quilt beautifully out of 10-inch squares. So just know, if you need a quick project in a hurry, choose one of these 25 patch blocks. And let me tell you, there is a lot of them. Choose one and make yourself a little baby quilt for a quick baby shower gift, I guess, or welcome to baby gift or something, just letting you know. Or for a pet, if you guys got fur babies, you could make them a little fur baby quilt. And it's just it's made of scraps, so you have scraps left over from some project, it's great. It's great. These work out perfect. And a lot of these blocks are, not only are they interchangeable, but you can take it and just make that single block over and over and over again and get something super awesome. So just remember that with all of these. I did want to clarify that though. I am using the 2.5-inch squares from my pre-cut bins, which I have videos of as well on my channel. But without further ado, let's get to making those two blocks. Okay, block number one, right here. So this one's quite easy. There's only 4 half square triangles to make. We're going to start with, we need a green, and we need 13 of those. Then we need a purple, 2 of those. Then we need 3 of a blue. Then we need 3 of a darker purple. Then 2 of a different pink. And then 6 of a regular pink. So let's get to making this block. We're going to start by pulling out 4 of these green, 4, and 4 of these pink. And we're going to take them over to the machine and make half square triangles with 1 green and 1 pink each. And we'll make 4 of those. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're just going to take one over the other. You can draw a line from corner to corner, or you can just place them on top just like this and sew from one corner to the next. It's been a few days since I used my machine. I better put the stitch length back to where it's supposed to be. We're just going to sew all 4 of these fellers. This part shouldn't take that long because there's only 4. And I'm not even going to bother fast forwarding you because I know we can get these done pretty quick. And 1 more. And then once they're sewn, we're just going to cut a 1/4 inch off of one or the other side. It doesn't matter which side as long as there's one side trimmed. So let's take these over to the cutting mat and trim a 1/4 inch. So we're only just going to, I don't even know what side you can see my stitching on. We're just going to take a ruler and a rotary cutter. Wow, I can't really tell. I'm using white thread, so it makes it hard. We're just going to 1/4 inch on one of the sides, like this, and trim away so that we have a half square triangle like that. So I'm going to go ahead and trim the rest of these away. I'm going to trim this side. Sometimes I can see what side I want to trim because see how you can see a little bit of the green fabric right here on that side of it. So sometimes I trim away those sides. These two sides are lining up perfectly. But sometimes they don't always line up perfectly. And it honestly doesn't matter because you can adjust your stitch length or your seam length amount when you're sewing the blocks together. So it makes it a little bit easier. But you can tell which side you should cut off when you start cutting them away. So this will go in my stash of half triangles that I'm going to be making another project with. And these we're going to take over to the iron and press them, except I'm not even going to bother doing that on camera. We're just going to flip these back towards the pink and press them towards the pink. Okay, so now for the layout. I'm just going to pull all these down under the camera where you can't see. And we're going to start by putting 4 of these fellers with the pink facing out like this. Here and here. That's just an estimate of where they need to be. Go up a little bit higher because of the recording. And then in between this gets a pink right here. And we're going to follow the chart. Here's the chart right here. Then a green goes here. And then a dark purple is going to go here. And a blue is going to go up here. And then we're going to go out with the blue like this. Also with that purple right here. Then these 2 pinks are going to go down there. And then the 2 purples are going to go here at the top. And then, it's harder to see my chart. There we go. The rest of everything gets filled in with the greens. So we're going to go right there, 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 there. I love it how I just say there the whole time. All right, so there is our block. Now it's time to sew it together. So I'm just going to move the chart out of the way. We're going to sew this like this. So we're going to sew these 2 together, these 2, these 2, these 2, and these 2. And they're going to be sewn right here down this seam. We're going to leave those on the machine, adding this to each one, leave those on the machine, and so on and so forth. So let's go over and start stitching them. Okay, so we're going to start with the first 2 in the first 2 rows with a 1/4 inch seam. Going to go ahead, stitch those through, grab the next 2 like this, stitch those on through. The next, they're just, you line them up. They're 2.5 inch squares. They should line up perfectly. I mean, sometimes they don't with the half square triangles, but that's okay. Everything else is lining up. And one more. Line up. Just like that. And then all I do is come to the top. And I'm going to go ahead and just press to the right, and then the left, the right, the left, and the right, like this. With my finger, there is no need to take it to the iron at this point because we don't need to get up a bazillion times. So we're just going to grab the first one in the next row, which is to the left of the, block that we're building. I'm going to go ahead and slide that through, and then I'm just going to continue on. And when I get to the next row, and so on and so forth, I'm just going to keep adding the rows, just like this web piecing. So we're going to go ahead and put this in fast forward. Okay, so now that they are all sewn together, we're going to go ahead and turn the whole thing because they're web piece. We can't get anything out of place. And we're going to take the bottom and we're going to put that right sides together and sew those together And then once those are sewn together, we'll take these two, hook them over this, sew that together, turn the whole entire thing, and repeat the process. I'm going to spare you that and put you in fast forward. Okay, so there we have it. There is our block. You could probably change the colors up and maybe not do this one pink. That way it kind of stands out when you see the shoe fly that's in there. But yeah, I think it looks kind of cool. I like it. And let's see, does it look like our picture? Well, yes, it does. So there is the 25 patch block. It is 10.5 inches. I'm going to move it just a little bit over so you can see. It looks just like our picture. So let's get on to the next block. Okay, for this next block, it might be a tad confusing, but trust me, it'll all work out. So here is our next block. It is 6 colors. We're going to just pull out the colors that we need. So for pink, I need 12. So there's my 12. For this pink right here, oops, I put the other stack in there, but that's okay. Look at that, I'm having problems. And then for the white, we also need 12. So I have 12 white, but they're actually white on white. Can you see the flowers? Look at that. Then we have 3 blue, and you're saying, no, Tiffany, there's 4 blue. No, trust me, there is 3 blue. So we're going to do 3 blue, 3 green, 3 purple, and 3 orange. I couldn't find an orange, so we're going with the yellowish orange. And now we're going to get started on making half square triangles between the blue and the white, the green and the white, the purple and the white, and the orange and the white. But before we do that, I need to switch out my stack. Yeah, this looks more like 12 to me. So we're not making anything with this. We're just going to take these pieces over and all of these colors over, and we're going to go ahead and make half square triangles for all these colors. So let's get to the sewing machine and make some half square triangles. Okay, so what I'm going to do is pull out my whites, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I put these together, right sides together, make sure that my tone on tone is facing the correct direction. Now I'm going to sew from corner to corner like we have been doing this whole entire time. So corner to corner, and I will go ahead and put you through all of this just in fast forward while I get all these sewn, because the next step we're going to pay attention to. Okay, so I don't want to confuse anyone, but you probably saw that I separated into 2 piles, which you probably only saw this pile because that was in the screen. So I took one of each color, one of each one of these colors, and I pulled them aside. So what we're going to do is, I'm not even going to bother cutting these just at the very second because we're going to start with this. I'm going to cut these like I normally do, but instead of putting them in my saved pile, I want this side. Instead of putting them in my save pile, we're actually going to use the cut-offs for the next step. So I don't need the white, I just need the color. So we're going to go ahead and trim away a 1/4 inch of the side, just like this, except we're saving out the color. So choose the side you want to trim. We're going to put that aside and then just take the color piece. One more. So we're just going to trim that, and we're going to take the color piece, and we're just going to go take all of these now, and we're going to go back over to the sewing machine and make a quarter square triangle. So we're here at the sewing machine, and I'm going to show you on the chart. So here's a quarter square triangle. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we lay it out the same as the chart. So I have blue right here. I have my, what it's supposed to be is orange right there. I have my green down here and my purple right here. Now I'm going to move the chart out of the way because you can see what I'm doing here. What we're going to do is we're going to take these two pieces right here. I'm going to put them right sides together, just like this, lining it up. They're not going to be perfect because not all the cuts end up the same. But we're going to take and we're going to slide this through point side up with a 1/4 inch seam through the machine. I'm going to leave that there, and now I'm going to take these two and put them right sides together, and I want my blunt side, my square it off side together, and now I'm going to put that side under the machine, just like this, and then they should be together. So we're going to take and go to the right with this one, and then we're going to finger press this one to the left like this so that we have a quarter square triangle. And now I'm going to put these, because they're connected, can't lose my direction, right sides together. You can see even with finger pressing that my seams are super ultra flat, and to the sides I need them to be, they're going to nest. I'm just going to nest those together and turn it and sew down that whole entire side, just like this. 1/4 inch seam right off, and when I open it I should have a 1/4 inch triangle like this. And obviously it's not perfect, it's not even 1/8 of an inch, but I don't really care. Let's go and press this right here, but before I do that I'm going to go trim the rest of the pieces. Okay, so this 1/4 square triangle should finish with all those cut off at 2.5 inches. Mine's a little on the wonky side. I should have probably done a more of a scant 1/4 inch, but it's pretty much like what I need, and I'm going to make mine work because I always do. But just so that you know, it is supposed to be 2.5 inches. So I would say if you're struggling, grab out a couple other pieces, which you can do if you need, and turn it into a scant 1/4 inch instead. But I'm going to make mine work because it's within the 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'll just line it up just right. So there's my 2.5 inch 1/4 square triangle, and that's what I need. So we're going to go ahead and start with that in the center, and we're going to lay this out. I'm going to start with blue, going up this way, just like that. And we're going to follow this chart. Let me just put the chart so you can see. We'll move that to the side like that. All right, here we go. And then we're going to put this guy facing that way. A purple is going to go down facing this way, and a green is going to go down facing that way. And then down here, we want 2 greens like this. On the purple side, we want 2 purples facing down like this. 2 of these facing out like that. And 2 blues will be facing out like that. So the only thing left to do, ooh, I didn't realize you're not fully in the frame, is to fill it in. And these are directional. I'm literally going to keep these directional as best as I can throughout this whole thing. So I'm going to lay it out, putting my pieces where I want them, just like this, like that. There we go. So that will be my block. As you can see, I will just make a scant 1/4 inch between these and these, just so that it lines up right. But it should be 2.5 inches. That's the way the rest of mine usually come out, but kind of pinched my seam a little. Maybe it's because I cut these excesses off. You know, when I cut the pieces off. Maybe I didn't cut them exactly a 1/4 inch, but they're supposed to be a 1/4 inch. You can even probably, when you go to trim off the side of your half square triangle, just put the 1/4 inch line a little bit further back, but not an 1/8 of an inch seam, just a little, give yourself a little bit more room on only 4 of your pieces like I showed you. So we're going to take this over to the sewing machine now. So these together like this. Sew down that seam, same procedure. I'm just going to put you in fast forward through the rest of the procedure, but as soon as I sew that seam, I'm leave them on the machine, open, put these on, and press the seams open. I always go right, left, and that's all you need to know. So before I even sew, I'm going to look one more time just to make sure it looks exactly like the picture. And to me, it looks exactly like the picture, right? Right? Yep, everything's spinning the way it's supposed to. All right, so let's get to sewing it together. All right, so here is the block. I use the directional stripes in here. So I think it looks super darn awesome. Even if I would have used a regular print other than, you know, having stripes there. Because it could have probably been really cool if like the stripes would have landed in the center, but obviously my pre-cuts aren't that way, but you can only imagine the possibilities. And this is one of those blocks that you can use to make a bunch of these same blocks over and over and just turn them and turn them and turn them. So yeah, there we go. And it worked out perfect with my thing. Like I said, I would just trim your half square triangle away a little bit less than a 1/4 inch of a seam allowance, and then sew your 1/4 square triangle with a scant 1/4 inch, and that should be, it would be probably a little bit bigger than 2.5, but it's better to have it a little bit bigger than 2.5 and trim it down than to be under too much. But mine was just enough. It was literally like an 1/8 of an inch off. So I mean, I just adjusted it when I put it in. You probably saw me doing it at the sewing machine. So there that is. Here is the photo. So you can see it looks absolutely amazing. I love this one. I'd have to say this is probably one of my favorites so far, but you know, there is a ton more to go. So I want to thank you for watching this 25 patch block video. Here are our 2 final blocks, and I appreciate you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.